This episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast is brought to you by Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna and White Belt Surfer, proud supporter of today's show. Today we're doing something special. We're welcoming an entire martial arts family to the podcast. Joining us from Tampa, Florida are Sensei Jimmy Stevens and his sons, Ben and Sam Stoddard. A family deeply rooted in Isshinryu karate, AAU competition, and the martial arts lifestyle. In this episode, we're talking about what it's like growing up in a household of black belts, competing around the world in places like Scotland, Serbia, Sweden, and Mexico. The mindset it takes to win at the highest levels of competition, and how karate has shaped their family, discipline, and identity. From training since the age of 3, traveling internationally for world championships, and balancing the roles of father, coach, and athlete, this conversation dives deep into the heart of martial arts culture and what it truly means when karate becomes a way of life. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle, and today we're joined by not only one guest, but 3 guests. So we're super excited to have Jimmy, Ben, and Sam. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on today. I know time's the one thing we can't get back. It's our most precious commodity. So I thank you guys for choosing to spend this time with me. So guys, where are you guys at right now in the world?
We are in Tampa, Florida.
Nice. And what's the temperature out there right now?
It's about 63 degrees. It's nice and cold for us here in Florida.
Wow. Yeah, that's cold for you guys. Yeah. So it's like 30 degrees here for us back here in Delaware. And we just had a little bit of a snow front come through. So I'm a little jealous of the 60-degree weather. So, man, that's awesome. So, yeah. So, guys, for those watching, this is the first time that I've had a family of 3. So this is definitely something unique, and I'm up for the challenge. So I'm definitely down to, get to learn more about you guys and your story that you guys can share, with the audiences. So right now I see you guys all wearing the AAU jackets. So for anyone watching, how would you guys best describe the AAU? And then let's talk a little about AAU karate. So Jimmy, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah. So for me, the AAU was, my first stomping grounds when it came to competition. It was my first introduction to organized sport karate, which for me was really cool way back when. So that's how my sensei introduced me. I know there's multiple different avenues to go down when it comes to sport karate, and my sensei chose the AAU. So I've always stuck with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool organization where it's also multi-sport. So we have USA Karate, but AAU is pretty special in a sense where it kind of, I guess, latches itself onto kids of all different realms, all different sports, if you will, and karate just happens to be one of them. It's a great organization. I can't, speak highly enough about it. I had Coach Moose Axum on recently too, and man, like what a great guy that can really promote the art. And I also had other guest on, and then when Sabrina reached out to me, I said, man, I never thought about having 3 people on. So we have a coach and 2 competitors. So Ben and Sam, talk about when you guys started training, and I gotta ask, is it competitive at home?
First. All right. It is definitely for sure competitive. We don't only do karate, we do jiu-jitsu and stuff too. So
yes.
Not only in karate are we competing constantly in the dojo, but it's Sam's yeah, I'll take you down. It's yeah, I'll choke you out. It's no, it's not happening, bro. So, I started karate when I was 3. So I'm 19 now, so 16 years, and I love it. It's great. Tournaments are awesome. AAU is great. It's like a big old family. So
yeah, absolutely. Sam, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, he said it's very, very competitive. I always want to be better than him and my other brother. I started training when I was also 3, so we've been doing it for a long time. 15, about to be 16. It's just been a long ride,
Yeah.
And the AU, honestly, what he said is definitely just a big family, and I grew up in it, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's awesome to hear that you guys started at the same age, especially that young age too. And Jimmy, before I ask you as well. So I'm interested to know. So Ben and Sam, when you guys started, if you can, so let's go back in time. Do you guys and maybe being 3, maybe you weren't old enough to kind of conceptualize that, but, and Jimmy, this is maybe where you can fill in, but why did you guys start training? And was it something that you enjoyed early on? Because I started when I was 6 and I fell in love with it. And I kind of feel the same, vibe from you guys, but something that I always love asking my guests that have been training for a long time, what was that initial starting point? Yep,
yeah. So for Ben, his older brother did it. So we're really a big family of black belts. Me and Sabrina, we have 6 kids, and 4 of them are black belts, and 2 of them are on their way. So
that's
it's a lifestyle for us, right? So his older brother Richard, he started training, and then it was the next one in line, right? His sister started training, so it was a family affair. We all started, and I've just been honored to be their sensei most of their life, along with my sensei as well, so it's really been a family affair for us. It's in our blood. It's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for Ben and Sam, like, what's your early recollection of training? I know being 3, I know for myself, I can remember parts of my training when I was 6. So I wonder, like, what's your early, like early memory of karate? Something that really sticks out that you remember, being such a young age.
For me, it would be like tournaments. So I started tournaments when I was 5.
Yeah.
So just like being in that atmosphere of like already having that competition, and like now, like all those kids that I fought when I was 5 years old are like, and we're still all competing with each other. So it's like, I kind of just like, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, I really wish I was a kid again and I can just fight in the 5 and 6 year old division, because it was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's interesting you say that, because, I feel like our mind shift changes every so often. I think they say like every 5 years, how we see the world kind of changes. And I think that's the same even for young teens, young adults, like you're like, for yourself. But it's funny how you say like you wish you could go back and be like, competing in the 5, 6, 7 year old. But man, I remember being that age and there were some scrappers. I remember kids being 6. I'm thinking like, yo, like these kids are amazing. And then when I went to Italy back in 2010, I was one of the oldest guys on the team. And I think the youngest kids were like 10. And I'm watching these kids warm up. I'm thinking like, yo, these kids are like light years ahead. And, like, I consider myself pretty good. And I was at the time, but I didn't like, so again, just to be very transparent, I do Isshinryu karate, which I know you guys do as well. And, from where I come from in Delaware, so huge shout out to Master Reese Rigby. We didn't really do much AAU, but we did compete a lot. So learning the rules and just learning how to win based on the rule set was a challenge. And then luckily I had a chance to train with the Ingrams. So John and Cindy.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing practitioners. And so it was almost like a culture shift where like, I knew I was good, but I knew that there were people much better. So just having that open mindset and training with them was an eye opener. And then going to Italy, and then Ben, you're saying about, being 5, 6, 7, man, I just remember these kids being like, man, like it was definitely a humbling experience for sure. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And then Sam, not to cut you off. Go ahead, bro.
I think the earliest like memory of doing karate is, I think when me and my friend, we used to go like back and forth every single time we would spar at tournaments. So probably that's like the earliest one I can remember.
Nice. Awesome. And just now, did you guys have success early on, or because I always love hearing the stories about people that didn't have success in the beginning, which is why they're successful today. And I'm sure you guys would agree. It's, when you have success early on, I guess that motivation and the discipline, like, kind of fades. But, having the family that you guys do, and Jimmy yourself, huge credit to you. How do you guys stay motivated when you guys are on top, or maybe not on top? So like, what's that consistent ground that you guys use, day in and day out, before a competition?
Yeah. So for me, just kicking back to the going on a spell of losing, it's in our family, and everybody has a different family dynamic, but they've been doing it since in Florida we can compete when we're 5 years old, so that's when they started competing, and they didn't win all the time. A couple wins here, a couple wins there, no consistent golds, right? But in our family, our motto was, well, you don't get to quit on a loss, right?
Yeah.
You can you're going to keep going to the tournaments and you're going to keep competing, but you can quit when you win, right? So whenever you get a taste of that second, that third gold medal, then you can choose to quit, right? But by that time, no kid wants to quit because they're on top of the world, right? And I think that's a strong lesson to learn, right? Don't quit when you're losing, because there's so much to learn, right? If you choose to stop competing, do it while you're winning gold, because at that point, nobody ever wants to quit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. So it's like early on kind of like ingraining like that mindset. If you work hard for it, then you deserve it. But it's like at that point, you've already come so far, why quit?
That's right. That's right.
I love it. And, for you guys, for Ben and Sam, everything that Jimmy says or just said, I know for myself, like there was a lot of great tips that Master Rigby said, and even my instructor now, Howard Steele, who were all, and him and I are both under Master Rigby again, just to kind of put that out there. But I know there's things that coaches would tell me, and I'm like, I have no idea what that even means. I can't really conceptualize that. So, and it's always after the fact, right? It's always that self-reflection. Right. And sometimes it takes a year, maybe 2 years. But, for Ben and Sam, I'm curious, like, what was like a groundbreaking moment for you guys where maybe it was a certain age or certain belt rank, or maybe even a certain tournament where you said like, yo, like I'm actually good at this. And like, I can like see myself doing this, because like, karate is a huge identity for us, but I know sometimes that doesn't always happen in the beginning. So, from you guys, especially being, so young, I don't envy like, teens at all now, because with social media and all this unnecessary pressure, it can be hard to kind of, I guess, discover who you are. And I'm sure karate has given you that outlet or that identity. So again, just to make that all make sense for you guys, like when did you guys realize like this is something that, that you're going to do for the rest of your life?
You want to go? All right. Well, for me, like growing up in it, I already loved it from the start. Like from our old dojo, like it was like, it's that kind of like family thing. Like everyone is a team. Like we're all here together. Like we're all winning together. You lose, everyone's there to pick you up. But I guess I felt like I always had like a love for it. Like nothing's ever made me feel like I've always known I belong on like the mat. Like I've always known I belong fighting. So I guess like I've never really lost that. I mean, I just bumped up to the adult division last year when I was 18. It's 19 to 34, so I made the jump early. And that is a tough division. So yeah. I mean, I actually haven't touched gold since I went in, but it doesn't hurt my feelings. I love it. I love fighting. I love giving it to other people. So it's just, I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And I equivalate, that jump from the 19 to 34-year-old category. It's almost like a high school stud going to college, right? Or Division I, where they're going to have their losses. Every now and then you just have that, just that freak that just comes from high school and they, tear it up. But, it's a humble mindset for sure. And I'm glad that you can approach it that way, because when you're so used to winning and then you jump another division, it's like you almost expect those it's like almost like you expect those results in the beginning, which it's going to come, for sure. Yeah. So, awesome stuff. Sam?
I mean, I've always loved it, but what I really, really fell in love with karate is when, like, my second year of brown belt. My first year, I didn't win a single tournament. I would lose to the same kid every single time. And when I finally beat him, I was like, all right, I know I can beat him. And I just started beating him. I was like, wow, I know I'm good enough to be on the mat. And I know I'm good enough to win. And I just fell in love with it.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. So just that consistency. Yeah. So this is good, guys. So we had a chance to kind of dive a little bit early in on the mindset of what it takes to win and just, that consistency. So Jimmy, for yourself, I know you're a little bit ahead of the curve as far as experience goes, and that's all it is. It's just experience.
That's right.
Maturity. So, that transition. So I know you guys are talking about being athletes, but I know for yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know Sabrina was saying that you've also coached at the national level.
Yes.
Yeah, so talk about that. And so let's just start with that. Like, what is it like being a coach, not only for your boys in your school or your dojo, but let's transcend a little bit higher now to the national scene?
Yeah. So, I stopped competing a few years back, because, I felt it was time to jump from me competing to being there for my dojo and my family. Right. And then, the honor that I've got to go on a national level, it's cool because, right, when you think you have it all, right, you jump into a whole nother realm of the group. It's going from just coaching my own school, right? That's easy. Anybody could do that, so easy, right? A lot of people do it. Then to being asked to coach on a national level where you're coaching kids that you don't know and adults you don't know, it's a different ballpark, and it's a exciting thing to do, because then you get to learn each person individually, and it helps you become a better sensei on and off the mats. You learn how to understand people a little bit more, and you learn how to help other people. And then, just from a week experience overseas in Sweden, you get to bring that back, and you get to, the next that walks in your door, you're that much more equipped to help them because you have a whole bunch of experience, so it really has been an awesome experience going and coaching on a national level.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so dope, especially the perspective. And I love how you said that you can take the things that you learned there and then, of course, bring them back to the dojo. And ultimately, that's what we want. We want to be able to make our students and ourselves better through over time. So I'm going to pose this question to you, Jimmy, and I want to word it in a way where hopefully it makes sense.
Sure.
So you're used to coaching at home, if you will, to the students that know you the best. Of course, Ben and Sam, of course, can attest. But was there ever any did you ever feel maybe imposter syndrome in the beginning when you're coaching the national guys? And did you ever feel like, man, I know I'm good, but I don't know if I'm ready yet to be here? Or was it just a calling that you knew, hey, maybe it was another coach? I know when I was competing, Coach O'Hara, Coach Adamson, Coach Ingram, I really looked up to those guys because they all provided something a little bit different. O'Hara was more experienced, so he was kind of like the godfather, if you will. Adamson was still young, and I know he's still coaching now, but every coach provided something different that I could look towards. So for yourself, and maybe Ben and Sam can answer this after you do, but what do you provide specifically for the national team aside from just the karate skill sets that most of these kids already, have and developed?
Yeah. I think, I think it's important for everybody, right? So I think you can relate to this. Isshinryu in compared to Goju or Shotokan is a much smaller foundation. We have mighty roots, but considered small in the grand scheme of karate. And I think, to be able to spread some of the knowledge about Isshinryu and to, get some of that information out there, of why we do things versus how other people do things. I think that's important, and that helps our system, especially in competition. And, just bringing a different mindset to, and it might not hit everybody the same, but if I give one piece of advice to a child or an adult that gives them something different to think about, right? And, I've never thought about that before, right? And then that helps them not necessarily win at a world stage because, something I say now isn't going to help somebody in 30 minutes, but it gives something to think about. Then they go home and they're like, that's a good piece of information, and, just to implant small seeds to help grow the athletes. I think that's, that's what I like and I enjoy. And I hope I've given out to all of the athletes that have, crossed my path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the way we find out is I turn and look at Ben and Sam and, all those things that, Jimmy is saying, I often wonder, is it hard to separate, for Ben and Sam, is it hard for you guys to separate the dad role, from the coach role? Or is that just, is there no effort there for you guys when you look at Jimmy? Like, do you see him as that all the time at the dojo, or is it like a flip of the switch where like all those advice that he's given you, are you able to kind of separate like, no, like he's talking to me as a coach right now, or is it like, all right, Dad, yes, I understand what you're saying, and like it might not click like you're saying, Jimmy, but from Ben and Sam, because I think this is so valuable for those watching, because I'm a huge wrestling fan as well, and like wrestling has this reputation where throughout high school, like most of those kids are obviously coached by the high school kids. I mean, high school coaches, but a lot of times they're being coached by their dads since day one, and it can be a hard switch because it's like you want to listen to the dad side, but you also don't want to disappoint the coach. So do you guys ever run into that where if you don't win, or maybe you do, or like you do something incorrect, is there ever going to be any type of consequence?
I can
That's a loaded question. Yeah, go ahead.
That's all right. No, I definitely have that switch. Like I know, like whenever, like it's like when we walk in the dojo, like at that moment, yeah, he's my sensei. Like he is teaching me skills and tricks and things like that. I don't have to think about what he's making for dinner. So
Yeah.
when it comes to tournaments and coaching, the same thing applies. It's just like, it's remembering like what he's saying, like isn't how he feels about me as like a son, or however, it is as a coach. He wants the best for me as his athlete to go out and compete and, get gold.
Yeah, that's cool that you can separate that, and it's a huge kudos to you, Jimmy, for it's like setting that boundary without even like realizing that you're setting it. It's like it's almost like the dojo and home is still a safe spot, or a safe place, if you will, where that learning is still transcending whether it's on and off the mat. Yeah, Ben, thanks for that answer. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, on that switch, it's I just kind of invented like when I'm in the dojo, I'm like, all right, he's my sensei now.
Yeah. Sam, so I just want to kind of ask you this, right, to kind of give like you the spotlight. So you're also one of the Isshinryu Karate Hall of Fame ambassadors, right?
Yeah.
So what was that like when you found out that you got that official title? Because it's something brand new that the Hall of Fame is doing, and I'm going to give a huge kudos to my own instructor, Howard Steele, for really, kind of setting that, tempo for this year, and, starting the ambassadorship program. And I know all the other ambassadors, but I don't think you and I have met officially in person, or maybe we did, maybe at the last Hall of Fame, but it happened so fast. But so one, congratulations to you. And like, what does that mean to be an ambassador for, even though Isshinryu, and Jimmy, said it best when he was describing Isshinryu compared to other styles, but when you look at Isshinryu by itself, what does it mean to kind of, be the ambassador for an art, something that's, helped you so much throughout the years?
Yeah, it's a blessing, honestly. I'm like really grateful that I got to be like one of the first ambassadors. And I was honestly a little surprised that they picked me. I was like, oh shoot, they picked me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like so grateful and so thankful. And I was like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and I get it, bro. I think we're going to really find out this year when we see all the ambassadors and all the returning grand champions. I'm excited. It's such a cool. I think we're kind of living in this time period, like at least for the Hall of Fame, where it's still brand new for everyone, but it's also exciting too. So yeah, I just wanted to spotlight you there because I think that's awesome. Now let's talk about Isshinryu itself, because I know you guys run a beautiful academy. I was actually doing some research, and I know you guys have been doing that now for a while. So Isshinryu itself, right? So for those watching, was formed by Master Tatsuya Shimabuku, and you mentioned another instructor, but you didn't say their name. So Jimmy, was Isshinryu something that you did from the time you started? And if it is, obviously it's transcended to where you guys are now. So who was your Isshinryu instructor? And yeah, let's just start off with that. So
yes. So my sensei, of course, I have many of them, but my sensei is Sensei Joe Trinkus, and his sensei was Sensei John and Cindy Ingram.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So same lineage.
Yep.
Very cool. And you run an Isshinryu school now. So
I do.
Do you guys strictly just do Isshinryu, or for the AAU, do you guys ever cross train in a sense where you're kind of blending and kind of bleeding in different techniques just for the competition, or do you guys kind of say no, let's just do strictly Isshinryu?
Yeah. So we do strictly Isshinryu, so no crossing between styles for kata. I think the Isshinryu is our roots, and that's where we belong.
Yeah.
And it's not doing the system justice if you go to the side and learn Shorin-ryu to try and be better in kata, where if you just take that discipline that you have and you put work into kusanku or sunsu, you'll fare just as well. So we're strictly Isshinryu tight, and we have dabbled in some weapons, so I have my black belt in Ryukyu Kabuto Teshikan. And again, that's only from Sensei John and Cindy's blessing. They teach me, so I'm passing it on to my students.
Yeah.
But as far as Isshinryu goes, strict Isshinryu, we don't part ways from that.
Yeah, and I love that because as an Isshinryu practitioner myself, I know when I was training for the AAU and even a little bit of the USA and KF back then, it's easy to want to, because you see what the winners are doing and like you see what the top people are doing, and you want to, it's like we already know that we can do a good kata, but unfortunately at the time, and even maybe a little bit now, I feel Isshinryu is starting to get the respect that it deserves. But like when you look at the WKF level, Isshinryu is kind of non-existent.
Yep.
And I think naturally as humans, we want to do what other people like us are doing. So if I see Ben and Sam doing a Shotokan kata, but I know I'm, as capable, of course I want to try to mimic that. But I've always been a component of, and you said it best, Jimmy, is focus on what you've been doing since day one. And I know people that do Isshinryu that are trash, in my own personal opinion, that try to go over and they're even more trash. I'm like, no, bro, you gotta, if you can't do Seisan kata and win, if you're Isshinryu, then you shouldn't be doing any other style. And I can say that because as a black belt at the last Hall of Fame, I did Seisan and won in the Grand Championship. And I've done that consistently because I want to prove that I don't care how great your Sunsu is, Kusanku, which I'm sure it's good, but Seisan was the first kata we learned. And if that's true, it should be your best kata.
That's right.
So I don't know. I mean, I've cross-trained here and there, but not to the point where it's going to change my karate or my whole perception of it. And also give a shout out to Shimabuku. He was also a mixed martial artist, but
yeah, sure was.
And he was still very true to what he believed in. And I don't think people give him enough credit for that. So, so for Ben and Sam now, for Isshinryu, like for you guys, when you guys are competing at the AAU, actually, does the AAU still have a separate Isshinryu division?
They do. So in nationals, they have in Isshinryu the mandatory division.
Okay,
and
so that's still the same then. Yeah,
and it's I've been doing it for a while, and I've been around nationals for a while now, and it's gotten pretty strong. It's we're about 15 people deep in the male category because it's 16 and up, right? Yeah. So we've built a good foundation for ourselves, not quite on the same level as a Shotokan where it's 5 pools of 40 people, but it's a good foundation to start building on, and it's getting larger, which is amazing.
Absolutely. And for Ben and Sam, I want to ask you guys, when you guys are at nationals, when you guys are doing kata, I'm assuming you guys do kata as well as kumite. So when you guys are doing kata in itself, because it's strictly a mandatory Isshinryu division, which is why I was asking if Isshinryu still has its own division, because I was going to ask, when you're competing with other styles, does that change how you perform, or like what's your mindset there? So I'll turn that around and say, overall, when you're competing just in kata itself, how do you prepare for that? Because I think for the younger athletes that are, listening, or just even as a coach myself, I always like to kind of get inside the mind of athletes and like also coaches, which is why I asked Jimmy first about his coaching experience. So for you guys as competitors, for Ben and Sam, what do you guys do to mentally prepare before your competition? And then and let's say you go for the grand, right? Or, something after that. How do you keep that motivation, throughout the day? Because tournaments are long days, and I don't think people give that enough credit as well.
So personally, I've never really made it far in Isshinryu, like in the category, Isshinryu only category.
Sure.
But I think it's just reminding ourselves that like you're there for a reason. If you did make it to the grand champion, like you got gold in your division, you are supposed to be there. And it's just reminding that like you won it then, you can win it now. Like nothing is stopping you.
Love it. Sam?
Yeah, like you said, I've only recently gotten good at my kata. It took me a while to be good. So I've only made it to like the third round, and I ended up losing, but it's fine. Yeah, it's like I don't know, like mental, I guess.
I had Jacob Little on the podcast. Is he someone you guys compete with?
Yeah. Honestly, like when people talk about Isshinryu like bad, I literally point straight to him. I'm like, look at him. Like he's just so good. Like you can't say he's like, you can't hate on the katas because he goes in, he does his, like I've seen him win Seisan katas like all the time.
I love it.
It's just amazing. And yeah, I can't take any hate for Isshinryu, and I go look at him do it. Like anyone can do it.
Yeah. Who do you guys look up to as well? Maybe not look up to, but are there certain athletes that like? So take Jacob Little for example. But is there anyone else that when you kind of helps get you inspired or motivated for the next event? Is there anyone? And maybe it's a team member, or maybe it's your dad, or maybe it's Sam or Ben. But is there anyone that you like say, yeah, like that person's really good, and you kind of want to emulate and like strive to be like them?
For me, it's honestly the guys I fight. Like I fought everywhere in the AAU, like Virginia. We're going up to New York in May.
Nice.
I've fought all those like older adult guys, and they're so good, and they're confident. They can go in, they can win their matches. They can come out already ready for the next one. So in that sense, like I want to be able to do that just as well as they do it.
Yeah. And do you feel that you're going to get there someday soon, or is it something that you just have to work on?
Yeah, I think I'm close. It's getting past the first match for me. Like sometimes I go in a little groggy or maybe a little cold, but like honestly, after the first match, I'm flying.
Yeah, the first match or the first rep or the first kata you do is always the hardest, but it's like it's always after the fact, because I'm sure you guys would agree. It's like you do a kata one time, then you go back and say, man, if I could just do that one more time, it's like I know exactly what I needed to do different. So it sounds like you guys have experience in kata when it comes to competition. So I don't want to assume, but I'm going to lean more that you guys are more into the kumite as far as having more success there. Love it. So let's talk about that. So and this goes back to Jimmy now as well, and all you guys can answer this. What's the preparation like when you guys are training for, let's say specifically kumite? Because I know for myself, it's one thing to be good at your dojo, but like you guys were saying, it's a different level or different switch when you're competing. I don't even care if it's nationals or a local tournament. When you step onto the mat, especially in an arena you've never been in, because I think that's the hardest part, is the mental challenge. I told my students when we went to the Hall of Fame, I said, the first day or two, go to the venue, walk around, just get familiar with, the room, where the bathrooms are. It's like little stuff like that, because when you know where everything is mentally, like you can actually focus a lot more. So I'm curious, Jimmy, what's your preparation that you have for your students, before, during and after? And I also want to kind of swing that around to the kumite component as well.
Yeah. So I think 80% of your preparation is done at the dojo, right? Like I was saying before, nothing that I can say to you 15 minutes before your fight is going to affect you. Yeah. Right. So all the hard work, all the sweat, the tears that you're putting in, right? We have to now make that work and pay off for you on the mats, so all the repetitions, right, you're doing, you want just that to go right onto the mats, and it doesn't matter who's in front of you, right? You throw your reverse punch, your round kick, your hook kick, right? You throw it with, the intent to score the ippon or the wazari, and if it misses, it's on to the next thing. It's a chess match. So I'm going to do this to set up that. And right. So I think all that preparation is at the dojo, which I think is, again, it's super important, and then when you're at the venue, it's time to put in the work, right? And I'm there to support you in the chair, and I'm going to give you my best verbal cues to see what you might not be seeing. And because it's always easier to coach somebody from the outside of the ring, right, than to get in there and do it myself. Of course, it's always easier said than done, but I think that's the job as the coach. Train them hard, and give them things to think about. Right?
Yeah. And just a spin-off question for you, Jimmy. When you have an athlete that maybe hasn't competed at that, venue, or maybe it's their first time, and then you look at your sons, Ben and Sam, that have competed, what do you say to like a very first time beginner? Like maybe I'm a white belt, or maybe even an adult that hasn't competed before. What is a message that you can convey that can help them kind of feel more at home or more at ease, if you will, especially before game day?
Yeah. So I think it's, I think the most important thing is, and probably arguably the hardest part, throwing the punches and kicks are easy, but getting rid of the head trash, right? The looking around the venue and thinking, oh man, that guy looks really good, right? That girl looks really scary, this guy's really tall, he's got big muscles, right? And the whole time the guy's not even in your division, the girl's not even in your division, right? You're looking around, sizing up these athletes that have nothing to do with you, right? So you're going in there solely focused on what you can do, right? What can Ben do in this fight? What can Sam do in this fight? Not, oh my God, what's going to happen to me when I step inside this ring, right? So I think that's very big, right? Because you can have all the conditioning in the world, you can have all the techniques in the world, but if you can't control the thoughts going inside your head, you're going to lose the fight before you step onto the mats.
I agree.
And I think that's an important one. And I think I always tell my beginners, you have the same techniques. You have a back fist, a reverse punch, a front kick, a side kick, a round kick, a back leg round kick, and a hook kick. What's the difference between you as a white belt and somebody like Ben or Sam who have done this on a world level? You guys all have the same techniques. Yeah. So what's the difference? It's how they throw them, with the attitude at which they use their techniques. They're not timid to go try and punch the other guy, right? So when you're on the mats, just like you hit the heavy bag, that's how you're going to throw your techniques. And don't be scared to throw your techniques, because the whole I don't want to hurt anybody. Well, that's what nobody's ever trying to hurt anybody, but that's you sign up to compete, right? So you have to punch and kick the other guy. That's how we score our points, right? So you got to let it go when you're in the ring and keep the head trash out. Yeah, I love it. And just, coming from a coach perspective myself, kind of in this like novice role as a coach over the years, and just learning from like a lot of good mentors, like a lot of key points. And I think the biggest thing that, the biggest takeaway is, getting out of your like own mind or your own head, because, it's like mentally, like if you don't believe you're going to do it, then you're probably not. And I think, of course, it's easier said than done. And then I'm going to pose a question for you guys, and I don't care who answers first, but guys, what is pressure? Oh, let Sam answer that one.
Mm-hmm.
He's been all over the world too. Let Sam answer that one.
Yeah, what is pressure, Sam? How would you define pressure?
I guess you could feel pressured to in a match, while you're fighting, or pressure to win the tournament because you went on this huge winning spree, and now you feel pressure that you have to win this tournament. I mean,
how would you define pressure, though? You're right. I agree with you, but how would you define it? Not what is pressure to you, but how do you define pressure?
I don't know.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta think about that.
All good.
pressure as a definition for me is hard. It's almost like feeling like a weight on you, for sure. Like if you're in a karate match, you're down by half a point and there's 10 seconds left. Like that's pressure.
Yeah.
That is pressure. Like you feel it, and you have, like, you know, you have to win. You know you can win, but you just feel that weight on you. And I feel like that's what it is for me. It's just strong, like weight.
For sure. Yeah. Coach?
I think pressure is a feeling that we put on ourselves to meet or exceed your own feelings and other people's expectations, right? So, because in my thoughts on pressure is it's more self-induced than somebody realizes, because at the end of the day, your sensei, no matter what level you're on, still going to love you, right? You go out and you lose 2.5 to 3 in the grand champion Kumite match, right? You feel that weight of, I don't want to disappoint my sensei. I don't want to disappoint my mom and dad. I don't want to disappoint my siblings. And it's that feeling. But in the end, man, your sensei can't be happier for you. You know, every sensei wants a student to win, right? Every mom and dad wants a student to win, but it's that feeling that the person is putting on themselves right now. And so that would be my definition of pressure.
Yeah, I love all your responses, and I would agree. Something that I've learned, and the reason why I posed that question is because one time it was asked, like I got asked what that was, and I said all the things. He said, "Oh, it's feeling like I have to win. It's feeling I have to do X, Y, Z." But what I've learned is pressure is just this imaginary thing that we put on ourselves. It doesn't exist, and it's easier said than done. But when you go in and just it's kind of cliche, like, oh, like I'm just here for the experience, or I'm here just to try to, like, no, you're not. Because if you are, then you shouldn't be competing. I think as athletes, like, we're there to win, and it's like we laugh of it, but it's so true, because I've competed just like you guys have, and I always kind of do a recon. I always like to talk to my opponents. I know some people don't like that, but I love to interact. But it's kind of like a mind mental game, because if I know where your headspace is before competing, I'm like, yep, I'm definitely beating this guy, or I don't know, like he's kind of reserved right now, so it's kind of hard to read. But I always like to add, like, so Ben, how you gonna do today? And if Ben said, I'm not sure, but bam, lost. You know what I mean? So I think how we respond and how we see ourselves in the tournament, it has to match what a first place, what a champion, performer is going to be. And, a good example is, like, I know for myself, when I was competing, for the grands or anytime, I like to put on music. I kind of just, kind of get in the zone. If I'm not talking to other people, of course, but right before it's time, I'm locked in. And those are the athletes that, so I posed a question earlier, like, who do you look up to? For me, it's anyone that's really on their game that day. I had Shelby Milliken on too on the podcast, and man, she's like 8 or 9, but I remember when she was walking around, she was just like so locked in. And someone that young, and like obviously you guys, that's what gravitates. Like, I gravitate towards that, because there's obviously something that they have that's different than someone that gets second place or third place. So, for the folks that get first place, winning's easy, but it's staying on top. That's the hard part, which is why I asked the question. So, like, what is pressure? And then Coach, you said it best. It's just this imaginary thing that we, like, I don't know if whatever it is like we have too much stress, or I think the fear of letting down our sensei. And Jimmy, like, I'm glad that you were able to kind of like reinforce that idea. It's like, no, it's like your hard work's already been done. And I think it's imperative as coaches, we let our athletes know, like, hey, win or lose, like, you're still Sam, you're still Ben. Like, it doesn't change anything. Too many times we see athletes, they lose, and it's like their whole world is like shattered. I'm like, bro, it's just kata. It's just weapons, And I don't know. I mean, maybe my mindset's like a lot different now, and I'm sure you guys see it, at nationals, or even like as you guys are traveling, just people devote so much to one thing that doesn't even matter in the long scheme of things. It matters, of course, in the moment, but the memories and our experience is what we take away. So yeah, guys, thanks for your own perception and your own explanation of pressure. So speaking of that, I definitely wanted to talk about your experiences overseas. I wanted to kind of say that towards the end of the show. And since you guys are rocking out the amazing USA jackets, how many places have you guys, like, where has karate, given you the, opportunity to travel? And anyone can answer this.
Yeah. So let's see. Thinking back, we've been to Scotland, we've been to Mexico, Sweden, Panama, Serbia. So all across, not including the places in the United States, right? We've got to travel all across our state, of course. We're gearing up in April to head to Vegas. We've been to Des Moines, Iowa, to Ohio, we're getting ready to go to New York. So the travel is we get around for sure.
Yeah, I think the traveling is the best part. And I tell this to my students a lot. Tournaments are cool, but, like a lot of times we don't even remember how we did on game day, but I always remember the road trips.
That's right.
All the ice cream stops, all the places that we stopped to eat. Like, I think those are the best. And I know you guys can definitely, reassure that for sure. So of all the places that you mentioned, let's talk about international because I think that's pretty special. Were all those trips for karate, like specifically, and were they for competitions?
They were.
Okay. And so for Ben and Sam, all those places, were you guys there at the same time with Jimmy, or Jimmy, were you talking more about your own personal experiences? So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So those are all the places our family's gone to, right? So
nice.
For Serbia, Ben didn't go to Serbia. Then Scotland, just Ben went to Scotland. Both the boys were in Sweden last year.
Nice.
And Mexico, we were in Mexico. Was that the year before? I've just been. So Ben's been a few more places than Sam has been as far as world's gone. But Sam's also competed in different tournaments where our road to Worlds is through the AAU, which is through the WUKF. Sam's also got to compete through the AAU, and we went to Serbia to compete in the ISF games.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, so we've been quite a few places, and typically, if one of us goes, at least another one's going. So we like to travel as a big family. So
it's like a big unit coming in, man.
That's right.
So for Ben and Sam, of all those places that Jimmy just mentioned, and like just for time's sake, like we don't have to name all of them, but I'm curious, like, what are your top 3 favorite places you've traveled? Not just from a competition sense, because I want to kind of separate that. So of all the places you've been, guys, like what's been your most memorable one?
Most memorable for me was probably Scotland. That was my first Worlds tournament outside of the United States. We were in Florida the previous year. I think it's probably my favorite because it was so different. Late nights of the tournament, like the day I was sparring or Kumite, we were there till like 1 a.m, and it was just insane. Like,
dang, bro!
I got done competing. I think I got a second or bronze. I can't remember which. I think I got bronze in open weight and second in weighted. And I was like the last division up, and there was one other ring, so we just sat there till like 1:30 waiting for that ring to be done. And everyone was trying to leave. Like everyone that was still there was maybe like 100 of us max. But right as everyone starts to walk outside, it's just pouring rain. Oh, so man. Everyone's just huddled up in a little room. And I think that's like a good memory that I have. Like just like I'll never experience that again.
Yeah, I love it. The thing is, I've also an experience I want to share with you guys real quick. But Sam, go ahead.
I would say the most memorable was definitely Serbia, because that was the first one I went to, and that's also the one I won. And it was so much fun. Like we got to hang out with the other countries. For example, like me and a couple of my friends, we went to the basketball courts and we were playing with China and Mexico, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then, like eating dinner with like the other sports that was there, like wrestling, taekwondo. It was just an unreal experience, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard for our friends or our family back home or just anyone that hasn't really experienced those things to really grasp, those concepts. I mean, sure, like we can make a Instagram post about it and get all these likes, but unless you're there, you really have no idea. And this is a story that I know you guys can definitely relate to. So I've only traveled one time out of the country for karate, and that was to Italy. And like yourself, Ben, it was such a different environment because I mean, as Americans, we're definitely spoiled,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you guys learned that pretty early on. But that was something that I really took for granted. Like, sure, my parents were always like, hey, just know that, not everyone has what you have, just be grateful. So yeah, of course, just be a good person, be thankful. I get it. But it goes much deeper than that. So when we were over there, I don't know if I think there was some type of, there's always some type of conflict going over the world. But at that time, Coach O'Hara was like, hey guys, make sure when you guys go anywhere that you always have a countryman with you or like a wingman. I was like, cool, makes sense. So I forgot, like maybe like on the second or third day, I was with one of the other USA guys and, they had to go to the bathroom. So, we go in there, we just chill. It was a good time. Not in the bathroom, just like, just the fact, just yeah, so just be very clear about that. And then out of nowhere, I think he was from Serbia, but this kid comes in. He's like maybe 14, and bro, like he stripped down butt naked. And mind you, like I'm in there, and like I'm like, oh crap, okay. So like I'm not trying to look, but I'm more just curious on like why he's doing it because like the venue was kind of like an old school Coliseum, and the water was freezing. I do remember that, and he's just like kind of bathing, just washing himself. And it only happened like the whole thing was only like 10 seconds. Like in my mind, it was like an hour because it was so life changing. Right. Thinking like, no, because like I wasn't expecting that. So he gets done whatever he's doing, but I was thinking like, damn, like that water is freezing. Like homeboy was like definitely mentally tough. And to come to find out, like he won his division. And then like later at the hotel, I don't know if Coach O'Hara was just reading my mind, but I was kind of like really processing like the whole day, not just that moment, but just the competition and watching like everyone do so well. But I'll never forget this. Coach O'Hara said, "Guys, I want you guys to understand that while this hotel might not be to your liking, it's a 5-star compared to where some of these other countries are staying." And I looked up because I really wanted to tune in, and he said something. He said, "And some of these other countries are basically staying on, the buses that they rolled up in." And then I thought back to that kid, like, dang, he probably didn't even get a warm shower, or like maybe that was the first time that he had a chance to bathe. And here I am, kind of just worrying, when I'm going to compete. This kid's actually fighting for his life and for scholarships and money. And it's things that, I just didn't know beforehand. So Jimmy, as a coach, and I'm glad that you're in the role that you are, and even Ben and Sam, you guys have so much experience that you can share with the future of karate, not just the skill set, but just how to approach life and just, just living in gratitude. And I left that trip so humbled and amazed. I'm thinking, damn, like I might not have gotten the result that I wanted. I got a silver, but like I wanted gold, but I'm just happy to be there, Yeah. And I'm sure it's been the same for every trip. I don't know. It's just a story that I wanted to share with you guys. It was something that I actually had written down that I wanted to kind of circle on. But Ben, like when you mentioned about your first time being over there, it like, yeah, things I had to share it. So thank you for reminding me about that. Sam, go ahead. I'm sorry. You were talking about your time in Serbia, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you as well. So that was your favorite spot, or your like most memorable spot, excuse me. So talk about the first time competing and, just those emotions before going in. And then Ben, thing is, I'll ask you the same question. And then Jimmy, thing is, I'll do one more. Yeah, I'll do one more question of close out.
It was definitely nerve-wracking. It was very nerve-wracking because I got to see my division the day before, and they all had beards, and they were all like 6'3". I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah.
And I remember I was trying to go to sleep the night before, and I just couldn't because I was so nervous. And I was like, oh, this might be bad. And this might be terrible. And then we get to the venue, still crazy nervous.
Sure.
I'm sitting there all day because I'm one of the last people to go. And then I finally as soon as I stepped on the mat, everything just went away. I was like completely locked in. I was like, all right, well, I'm here now. Might as well just go for the win. And I ended up winning, which was amazing.
That's awesome. And when you won, was it almost like a stamp that, man, like you are good, and like all the things that your brother and Jimmy have, taught you, it was kind of just a culmination of all those raw emotions at once? Or was it something that like maybe took a couple of days to process?
No, I immediately was like, I really just won this. Like it was insane. So I'm pretty sure it was like a 40 or 50 person bracket. It was pretty crazy.
Dude, that's
I was like, yeah, I was like, oh, like it's crazy. I just won that, and like I still had to compete again for team earlier that night, or earlier that day, or later that day. So I couldn't really focus too much on it. But when we were leaving the venue, I was like, I really just won that, and it was so insane.
That's awesome. And hey, just so you know, Coach Moose talked very highly of you. He has like a whole list of athletes that he gave me of people that I should interview, but he mentioned your name, so I just feel that's noteworthy to mention. So
yeah,
that's cool that he thinks highly of you, Ben. So aside from your memorable place, like talk about like maybe like a memorable win, or maybe not even a win, just that first time being overseas and being like on the battlefield, if you will.
Right. It's definitely different. Like it is a very different type of atmosphere from the USA tournaments. Everyone's kind of friendly, and everyone knows each other, and we're not trying to take each other's heads off. But dude, right as you go to like overseas, like
it's game on, man. Yeah,
they are coming for you. I remember I got like the first time I got hit, because that was maybe my second tournament tournament without a helmet on. And yeah, it was definitely a eye opener for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because those guys overseas are headhunters. I know that.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to knock you out. Yeah.
I actually I broke my nose in Mexico the next year. Yeah. So
do they still have you guys where the so when I went, I don't have it with me, but like when I went to Italy, our gloves were so thin. It was pretty much like you get hit. It was almost like a knuckle shot. Did that change? Do you guys have regular sanctioned gloves now for the WUKF?
Yeah, regular gloves. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good at least, because I know everyone was like all worried. It's like, man, it's almost like, why don't we just fight? But anyways, so one more question that I want to ask you guys, and it's almost like a thinking question, and I don't care who goes first, but if there's one thing that you could change about karate, what would it be?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah. And it can be anything, competing, how it's taught, how it's presented, how it's organized. I've asked this question before, and not to steal the spotlight, but basically, I think people wish that there was more of a union of the top dogs. So you have USA Karate, AAU. In my opinion, if those two would just merge, it would make all the athletes better. But all that for a different day. But I'm just wondering what you guys think.
This is going to sound very American of me, but I think everything runs on money these days. But if there's one thing I could change, especially here in the States, is if there's a way to get karate, for free, just because I don't think enough people experience it. They don't understand karate, right? Yeah. So if there was a way to, be able to expose karate to more people, right? Like baseball and football, right? I think that would be some to change somehow. I would like it on a, if I could just say, all right, guys, it's free. Nobody's paying for karate anymore. That's the intake of money to have to run a school. That sounds very American, because it's money, but I think I would want to expose it to more people, right? So I think that's kind of my take on it. I would.
Yeah, and I think also to talk about money and finances, since you brought it up, I wish that every member of the AAU national team and USA Karate didn't have to pay a dime.
Yeah.
Guys, because you guys have worked your butts off for this moment, and it's a shame. And I get it, just because there is lack of interest, like you're saying, Jimmy. But I don't know, like I don't know, just my 2 cents. So like, I wish you're right. I wish karate was more free or accessible. But I wish that the U.S. team, whether it's junior, senior, old person, young person, I don't care. Like if you're going overseas, like you shouldn't have to pay a dime. But that's just me. Maybe down the road, who knows? Maybe if we all use crypto or whatever, maybe.
That's right. Yeah, we gotta hit the lottery, and then we can all be teaching it for free, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, good point. I agree. Like, let's try to make karate more accessible down the road for sure, if we can in any way. Ben, go ahead. Like, what's something that's changed about karate?
Not that necessarily changed, but a little like off track. Not off track. I wish it got a little bit more respect.
Yeah.
I mean, when people think about like martial arts, they think about kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, and karate's kind of like right at the bottom. I wish people would kind of know, like, no, I could probably still beat you up. Even though I don't do those things, I could probably still beat you up.
Sure. Yeah. Ben, I pose this question for you. Do you ever have trouble explaining what karate is or what you do to someone that doesn't do what we do? Because we know how great it is.
Right.
That just comes with, experience over time. But if I was I don't know, if I just saw you wearing that jacket and you had to explain and sell karate in 30 seconds, what would you say?
Oh yeah, that's fair. You would not get my sale. I would not get your sale. It's hard when it's like on the spot. If you like said, "Hey Ben, I want to ask you a question about karate. Get back to me in 5 minutes." Yeah, I could probably tell you all about it. Tell you about how it's help me be confident, disciplined, all these things. But yeah, right on the spot, I don't know if I could.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's something that I used to struggle with too. Jiu-jitsu is a little bit more easier to sell, in my opinion,
Right.
but that's a totally different art in itself. Both are beneficial, of course, but yeah, I was just curious. So maybe after this podcast, you kind of think about that, and always have an answer ready if you can. Yeah, man. Thank you for that, Sam. Like, what's one thing you would change about karate?
I guess like the McDojos really just hand out the belts. Like a black belt, you pay them enough,
Oh, the McDojos, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, elaborate on that. So when you say McDojos handing out belts, because belts, in my opinion, it's all arbitrary. It's all based on whoever think is promoting. So when you say handing out belts or McDojos, like, in your opinion, I'm assuming you're a black belt, yes?
Yeah.
So, and how old are you?
15.
Love it. So as a 15-year-old black belt, because I was 15 when I got my black belt, and despite what 15-year-old me would have thought, I might not have been a black belt compared to, let's say, like an adult, but I did the work. So how do you how do you justify what a black belt is compared to like a McDojo black belt? And you guys can all chime in too. But Sam, go ahead.
Like training for, like, you actually have to train for, you actually have to put the work in, but a lot of these like McDojos, you can just give them $100 and they'll give you a black belt, and then you can say you're a black belt.
Yeah.
And I don't like that at all. It's almost like disrespectful to the karate, if that makes sense.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Oh, you guys, do you guys feel the same way?
For me, it's more like fast tracking, like going off of what Sam says, not only paying for it, but just fast tracking a kid because he's slightly better than your other green belts in class, or your brown belt. Like maybe he's a blue belt beating a brown belt, just making sure like he's hitting the correct milestones. So that way, when he does become a black belt, like he is confident in himself. He's not a black belt when he's, really green belt or brown belt level. And then he's going in, he's struggling with these things because all these other guys have put the work in.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy?
Yeah, so really it's doesn't really upset me too much, because again, everybody has their own prerogative. If that's the route that they want to take their school down, what I have an issue with is it really makes what we do look bad, right? You have the guys doing the no touch knockouts, and then the weird Hapkido throws and stuff, and you're like, that just makes everybody look bad, So I think it's the look that it gives the traditional martial arts that is I'm not a fan of, because we know what we do, even though some people, call it kata silly dancing, but I'm sure we can pick a part out of that kata and, use it wisely, where most people just think you're dancing, I think that's the bad part of it. It waters down the true foundation of karate with people producing McDojo black belts and just not getting a good look for us.
Yeah, I think it's funny too, as far as kata goes, how people, it's always the ones that don't understand it that make fun of it. They think, it's like you're fighting an imaginary person. Yep. Well, look at wrestling. Like, what's shadow wrestling? What's shadow boxing? It's the same thing. But people, like Ben said, people just don't give karate, its respect. But I will say, with what you guys are doing and continue to do, that's how karate gets the respect it deserves. It's not that we don't just talk about it, but we are about it, and that is what's going to help, overall. Guys, listen, it was an honor to have you guys on. I know it was a lot of questions and just a lot of feedback, which is the whole point of this podcast. I learned a lot about you guys, and overall, the overarching thing I learned is that you guys are a very loving and supporting family that just loves karate and loves to travel. And you guys have so much wisdom behind you that you can share with not only your students back home, Jimmy, but for the national team, which is also cool, and just anyone that wants to learn. I do have one final closeout question. If there's any shout outs that you guys want to give to anyone, typically it's only one guest, but since it's three of you, and your answers might kind of all, seamlessly be the same. But I know with, Jimmy being a little bit more older and mature, in life, if you will, there's probably people that have helped, set the way. And you don't have to name all of them, but if there's one, maybe two people that you would want to give thanks to, aside from your family, how about that?
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. So I think the first one, it's really a group of people, right? It's my Sensei Joe Trinkus, and Sensei John and Cindy Ingram. They're my biggest supporters. Without those guys, I wouldn't be here, right? They are a true sensei. The ones who've come before. So that's from my heart, my biggest thanks, because without them, I wouldn't be here. And then the other one is just, again, it's a group of people, but it's everybody in the AAU program. Again, that was my foundation when I was a child going up through adulthood, is where I started competing. And, I really do think they run a fabulous program. Yeah. And so again, I can't thank them enough, because they give me a way to not only test myself as a sensei and as a coach, but for my athletes to go and compete. So I think I'm super grateful for those guys. Awesome. Thank you, Jimmy. Ben?
I think like Jimmy said, it's just a group of everyone. Definitely AAU family. I just love everyone there. It's a great atmosphere, great organization, and I just can't thank them enough.
Love it. So just thanking the AAU itself and just everyone that's encompassed to it, and giving thanks, of course, to your your dad, which I couldn't say, which I said you can't thank anyone in your family, of course. Sam, go ahead, bro.
Definitely some of the friends that I've made in the AAU that I've trained with and helped me get so much better and where I am today. I'm so thankful for all of them.
Awesome. Yeah, guys. And I'm thankful for you guys for trusting me with this platform. And and also a huge shout out to Sabrina for reaching out to me a couple months ago. I know we've kind of it's kind of been back and forth as far as our schedule goes, but I'm glad that we were finally able to make it happen. I'm rooting for you guys. I'm celebrating you guys. I'm excited to see where you guys go this year. Lastly, where can people find you guys on social media? because, we do live in a fast track world where, people want to stay connected. What's the best way for athletes, coaches, or just anyone to stay connected with you guys if they have any questions in relation to what was discussed today?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. It's Sensei Jimmy Stevens _ West Coast Karate. You could also Facebook us. Yeah. It's a black and white photo of myself coaching. And then, of course, you can find us on Facebook as well, West Coast Karate.
Awesome, guys. And then Ben and Sam, same thing?
Yeah.
People can find you. What's your handle, though? Mine's
Ben _M Stoddard.
Awesome. And then Sam?
Mine's Sam _ Stoddard.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you guys want to get to know more about them or just follow their career, go ahead and give them a follow. And again, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Kumite Lifestyle. This was Jimmy, Ben, and Sam all the way down in the warm state of Florida. And guys, we thank you so much for being on today's podcast for the Kumite Lifestyle. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.